These are both wonderful people. To save your applause to the very end, okay? Because we're being fed live to Shreveport and into Baton Rouge. And let's have a good showing on this. While we've got a few minutes here, let me get a quick commercial in. First of all, thank you for coming, but also please consider joining the League. As you see, we do serious and fun events that educate the community, and without your support, we can't do those. Next week, we will be doing an event in partnership with WAFB and with PAR, which will be the Constitutional Amendments Phone Bank. So if you have any questions about the 10 amendments that are going to be on your ballot, please give us a call. And I'm sure watch WAFB on Monday night, and they'll have the number out. I will probably send you an email. If you're not on our email list and would like to, be sure and give it to the people at registration. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. Yolanda, could I have some water? Y'all can talk now, just when the vote is on. Welcome to League of Women Voters Lunch with the League. Today's program is a Lieutenant Candidates Debate. For many of you, you may not realize that the person who is elected to this position may very well become our next governor. I am Gene Armstrong, your moderator. First, let's meet our panel journalists. Joining us from the print media is Robert Travis Scott of the Times-Picayune and the incoming president of the Public Affairs Research Council. Next is, from New Orleans, is Melanie Hebert, WDSU, Channel 6. From Shreveport, Stephen Mayer, KTBS, Channel 3. And from Baton Rouge, Ashley Rodriguez, WBRZ, Channel 2. Before we go to the candidates who want your vote, I want to re-emphasize, please hold your applause for these wonderful candidates till the end of the program. Now let's welcome Jay Darden and Caroline Fayard. The official timekeepers for the League are John Armstrong and Bernadette Rushing. Our producer is Robin Heiser, who is going to keep us on track. Let's go over the ground rules. Politics is the art of the possible, so we are asking the candidates to elevate this debate to the level of civility and respect that has been missing in politics in almost 2 decades. The candidates have drawn for position in the opening question, on candidate questions, and on the closing statements. Each candidate has received a copy of the program format. There will be 3 types of questions. The timing will be given for each series of questions at the beginning of the round. Flashcards will be held up for the candidates at 20 seconds, 10 seconds, and stop. On rapid-fire questions, only the stop card will be held up. Please stay within the limits of each answer period. Closing remarks will be 2 minutes at the end of the debate, providing we have stayed within the time for each of the question and answers, or we will be back to the 1 minute in the original agreement with the candidates. And now let's begin. The first question goes to Ashley.
If you were to become governor, what would your first order of business be?
To direct the Commissioner of Administration to begin prioritizing spending in state government and not looking to cut across the board. To make a determination about what the best performing programs are in state government and ensure that we fund them so that they can be not only viable but successful. So that we're not looking at rewarding poor performing programs just like we're rewarding good performing programs. That's what happens with across the board cuts. I would want to make absolutely certain we set priorities in state government spending. And to do that, we've got to decide what's most important. And that, in my estimation, is education, K-12 education, and higher education. And make certain we do that right, and we do that in a manner that we're not going to lose students, we're not going to stymie economic progress. And recognize that government is not going to be everything for everybody. We cannot continue to try and do everything we're doing now in these fiscally difficult, challenging times. We've got to do more with less. We've got to do that by setting priorities.
Caroline?
Thank you first off to the League of Women Voters for having us here today and having this debate. If I were to become governor, the first thing that I would do is immediately call together a special session of the legislature and discuss the devastating cuts that have been attacking our higher education system. We would have to go to work together and reprioritize the way that we are going in the state, not only in higher education but also in our health care dollars. It's true that we are facing difficult budgetary times. However, that does not give us an excuse to gut ourselves from the inside and leave a state that our children cannot grow and progress in.
Thank you.
In Northwest Louisiana, specifically Shreveport, Georgia area, money made from gambling and tourism is a major part of the economy. How will you help the local governments grow these industries while at the same time fending off competition from neighboring states?
Caroline?
Well, when it comes to gambling, actually, it's interesting. The state is in the middle of issuing its final riverboat casino license right now, and there have been some people that have applied from both the Lake Charles area as well as New Orleans, the greater New Orleans region. It would be my goal as the head of the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism to work in partnership with anyone that's developing economic opportunities. And certainly the gambling industry has been, on the whole, a net positive for the state of Louisiana and our revenue streams. It brings a lot of tourists to the state. It needs to be done responsibly. And certainly we need to make sure that those who have issues and problems with gambling are getting the help that they need. All of these things can be self-funded through the industry. Local governments on the whole, they also have a choice as to whether they want it in their communities or they do not. And those that accept it, we will work with them to make sure it's done in a responsible manner.
Okay. I was never a supporter of gambling, as all of you probably recall, during my days in the Louisiana State Senate. And there was a time when gambling revenue in the state eclipsed oil and gas revenue. That's moderated, and it's not quite that anymore. But when gambling passed, it became evident that it was going to be here to stay because it got built into the budget and we're dependent upon it. The efforts in the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism would be no different than it would be with any other business that's been legitimated in Louisiana, and that is to promote Louisiana in a way that recognizes that some people who are coming into this state are going to want to partake in gambling, and so they would certainly be involved in the tourism efforts we would put forward for the state of Louisiana. In terms of expansion of gambling, I'm not for that. I would not be for that. The biggest thing we could do is make sure Texas doesn't legalize gambling in some manner or form, because if that happens, Shreveport and Lake Charles are going to have a very, very difficult economic challenge. So the response would be, as the leader of the tourism effort, I would work with those local communities to make certain they're providing opportunities for people who are going to come here to enjoy other things while they're here gambling.
Thank you.
In your first question, you both addressed the budget crisis that the state faces. As you know, Governor Jindal proposed the elimination of the position. You two are both running for, arguing that the Louisiana Lieutenant Governor's responsibilities could virtually be divided up among other state offices. How do you argue that Louisiana should keep this position and perhaps even expand its role, and how do you intend to prove its worth to the voters and to the governor?
I was the only person, one of the lady testified along with me that the lieutenant governor should not be abolished. I feel very strongly that it should not be abolished. You need to have a person who's accountable and responsible to the people for developing a marketing and tourism plan for Louisiana, which is why the Louisiana Travel Promotion Board has unanimously endorsed my candidacy. They want me to be the one to lead the tourism efforts for Louisiana. This job is one that lends itself perfectly to being the ambassador for Louisiana, to bring people into the state, but also to work hand in hand with the Department of Economic Development to expand businesses here. If we can get conventioneers, leisure travelers into Louisiana, that's the first step to convincing them to invest in Louisiana. And the logical next step is to convince them to retire in Louisiana. It's a great continuum. And I intend, if elected, to be in a position to be a champion for everything great about Louisiana. And the success we have and the accountability we will build into our programs to market Louisiana will prove the worth of this position.
Let me first say that I would not be running for an office that I did not think was vital to the state of Louisiana, both in a constitutional respect, but also over the actual duties. The Lieutenant Governor's office, because it does oversee the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism, reaches into every parish of Louisiana, and we have tremendous assets, cultural and otherwise, that need to be protected and stewarded in this state. Not only that, our tourism industry is a tremendous jobs creator. Over 250,000 people are employed in this industry, and certainly I believe it deserves an executive's level attention at state government. When it comes to proving the position's worth, well, we've already done that. $850 million alone in tax revenue was generated by our tourism industry and returned to the state coffers, which results in a $550 per household tax credit as a result of the tourism spending in the state. So you and I actually are paying less right now as taxpayers as a result of the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism and the Lieutenant Governor's efforts.
Thank you.